Hey, how's everybody? Welcome to my home state. This is where I was born. When my mom had to move me to Malibu, California, I was so disappointed. What's that? Yeah, February for sure. It's about, I don't know, 78 in California at that time. I know we have people from all over the place here today, as far away as Australia, and from nearby, right here in it's Novi, right? Not Novi, Novi. Well, I don't know. I guess we can. I can tell some stories if you want, or we can have some questions and answers. I just finished shooting the third season of Hit the Floor. It's a show on VH1. It was a lot of fun. And then I was about to start a movie literally next week, a military film, which is why my hair is gone, much to my mother's dismay. And they pushed that to July, so I got this great haircut for nothing. That's the nature of our business. And then you may have seen recently that CBS announced the pickup of Supergirl, which is a lot of fun. And I'm a recurring character on that. I don't know, Kat's sort of out of the bag. I play Supergirl's father, not her father, not her stepfather, if you will, her foster father. And Helen Slater plays her mother, so it's a lot of fun. And that show looks really great. Melissa Benoist looks fantastic as Supergirl. If you've seen the trailers, it looks like a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to shooting that this summer and seeing how that turns out in the fall. Got a new movie coming out called Vendetta on June 12th. It's pretty violent and tough. That's what my mom says anyway. Again, my mother. But I had a lot of fun shooting that with, if you're a WWE fan, Big Show is in it. And he's big, and he's 7 foot. I think he's 435, 440 pounds, and I felt very small. And until today, when I saw that 7'7" guy out there, has anybody seen that guy? Yeah. Holy smokes! I felt really small. I saw a picture I took with him, and yeah, I'm tiny. I don't even look like I'm 6 feet then. I am 6 feet. I look like I'm about 4'2". Big guy. But it's the second time I've been here in Novi and for the Comic-Con, and it's a lot of fun. It's a little warm in there. Sorry about that. I didn't do that. But I didn't know you did it, Wonder Woman. I'm telling you right now. So I'm very happy to be here, and I don't know how this works here. Do we have? Does anybody have any questions? First of all, because if there's questions, I can certainly answer them, or I can decline to answer them, I suppose. I'm gonna go with the gentleman right back there with the face paint on. I can't. What is it? I can't see that song. I've made a lot of Lifetime movies, and I love those Lifetime movies. Sometimes people pick on me, rarely to my face, but sometimes they pick on me for those. But those are great. You know, I'm a single father. I have a 14-year-old son, and I like to make content that he can watch and he can come to set and visit. And I like some good, strong family messages in some of the films, and so I have a good time with that. That's not the theme in Vendetta, by the way. Full disclosure. But I enjoy making those kinds of films. I did a lot of movies for Lifetime, a lot of movies for Hallmark. Do a lot of kids movies, a lot of little like little kids movies, because there's still some little kids in my family. You know, a lot of little Christmas dog movies. People love to pick on me for those, but I love making them. They can pick on me all day long. Come on, because the kids like them and I enjoy them, and they're a lot of fun. But it's nice to mix it up. It's nice to go and make a $60 million movie. It's nice to make a $300,000 movie. You know, and so filmmaking has changed so much in the last 25 years or so. Everything is wide open, and I always say work begets work, and make as many projects as you feel like making, and play as many characters as you feel like playing, and some of them will hit real well, and some of them might miss a little. I always joke about this. I played Scott Peterson in a film, and I always joke that that's my dating barometer. If a woman says, "Hey, I loved you," and it's Scott Peterson, I'm like, well, we're not going to date. This is not going to work. But it's just fun to play a lot of different characters. I saw someone have their hand up for Superwoman. There she is. The questions were, well, I wrote 2 episodes of Lois and Clark when we were shooting the series. And when you're shooting a show like that, you're on the set literally 18 hours a day. And it seems like you complain, oh, you poor thing, you're on set. But 18 hours a day, every day, all day long, it gets to be a lot. So instead of just acting, I started wanting to write, be more involved in the creative process. Christmas has always been my favorite time of the year, so that's the reason I wrote a Christmas episode. And that was a lot of fun. And then I also really like video games. So some people can cheer, some people can hiss at me. But I like video games, I like them a lot. I play them with my son. I'm a bit of a geek, and I embrace that. And so we did a show, Virtually Destroyed, that was sort of inside of virtual reality, sort of video game. That was a lot of fun. And sitting around, I felt like I was doing a lot more by writing episodes of the show, and that was a lot of fun. Lane Smith played Perry White, and Lane was fantastic. He was the veteran actor of the bunch. And if you're familiar with Lane, he passed away a few years ago. Just a wonderful guy. I always try to be a respectful younger actor. Well, of course, I'm not that young anymore, but it depends on with whom I'm working, and be respectful of their experiences and the things they've done. And if you're smart, you listen. And so I try to listen to Lane a lot, and he taught me a lot of things. And it was amazing. I hadn't been as aware of his career then as I've become afterward, because we were so busy, I suppose. But Lane was a great guy, and my favorite Perry White, And that being said, Terry Hatcher was my favorite Lois Lane, I'll be honest. And of course, my Superman was my favorite Superman. I have to say that, absolutely. Thank you for the question, Natalie. Anybody else have a question? Yes, sir.
I'm a big fan of Penn Jillette and his podcast, and he likes to tell a story about when he made a guest appearance on the show where he kind of deliberately went out of the way to screw with you during his big scene. I'm wondering if I can finally hear your side of the story.
Penn Jillette. So Penn Jillette did guest star on Lois and Clark, and at that time I was 27 to like 31 years old. Strong, very strong. Penn Jillette weighed at the time, I think, 270. I had to hold him. I had to pick him up. As far as him messing with me, he was just so funny. That stuff never, I love him, so it was just funny to me. But the part I remember most about Penn Jillette was I had to hold him like Lois Lane. And Terry Hatcher weighed about, 87 pounds. And then I got Penn Jillette, and I felt strong. I can put him over my shoulder, sort of squat him. But to hold him like that, it was the only time in my lifetime, to this day, where I felt the bones in my ankles start to give. They're like, we're not gonna make it. So Penn's actually slimmed down, so I could probably hold him down. But great guy, I love his magic acts, I love his television shows. He can tell her, they're fantastic. I don't remember what he said he screwed with me with.
He kept flubbing the line intentionally.
Oh no, he didn't do it intentionally. He just was messing up. He was just messing up. You know what? I don't recall specifically. If I said I did, I'd be a liar, and I don't want to be that, especially to him, because he'll call me out. But hello, Penn. I saw someone else had a question back here. Maybe that. Yes, ma'am. What else? Oh yeah, actually my career began as a writer. When I was graduating college, my father's a film director. And while I was in college, he was making one of his most famous films called Young Guns. He directed and produced that film, and all the kids that I grew up with were in the film. Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen, all these kids are in the film and having fun, and I'm still in college. Actually, none of them went to college, but I was in college, and they were making the film, and I went out there, and it was a lot of fun to see him do that. I literally forgot what the question was. What was the question? Oh, nothing. I was going to go play professional football afterward, and I started doing that. And what my dad kept telling me to do, he said, look, your friends are actors, and these guys are acting, and it's good, but if you write, you can always create your own job. You don't need to be going to set, you don't have to do anything. And I'd always been a very good writer. All my English papers and things, he always said, you should write, you should write, you should write. And then he started challenging me to write. He said, here's an idea for a movie. And he made me write the whole thing in a screenplay form. And this is before Final Draft for any of you writers out there. That was a long time ago. And so I could create my own, sort of style sheet and all this stuff. Anyway, I learned the process of screenwriting. He kept telling me to write. When I wanted to play professional football, I was going to play professional football during the day and screenwrite at night. And suddenly, football was gone, and so I was just screenwriting. And I was screenwriting and doing commercials and things. And at the same time, my screenwriting finally broke, where I got hired by Hollywood Pictures as a screenwriter. I also got hired to play Superman. And they were sort of mutually exclusive. I couldn't do both at the same time and make the deadline. So I went with the easy way out. I went with the actor situation, but I've continued to write the entire time. I'm in the middle of writing something now. In fact, I have a deadline, and I'm behind on that one, so that's not good. But I like to write all kinds of different movies. I write behind my father on every picture he does still. I'm his ghostwriter. I just enjoy the process a lot. And you'll find a lot of actors tend to be filmmakers all the way around. They'll produce or direct or things of that nature. And it's great fun. It's a great medium. You don't have to choose one or the other. You can be all of the above. So I'll continue to do that for sure. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I guess an honor that's out there. You did something with Chris Kyle. What was it like meeting him, like having two iconic characters like Superman and Chris Kyle in the same place?
The question was about Chris Kyle, who's an American sniper, Navy SEAL, very good friend of mine. I do a lot of things to support our military, our men and women in uniform, military first responders. Those people, there's a certain thing to being in the military or being in law enforcement or being an EMT or some things like that. They're amazing people, and they're a certain breed, and you often don't appreciate them the way you should until you meet them, and then you really appreciate them. And my grandfather was a commander of the Navy. I was born right here at Selfridge Air Force Base. He was stationed up in Mount Clemens at the time. My uncle was a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. He won the Reisner Award, top fighter pilot in the U.S. Air Force in '81. And so I have a long history of family in the military. If I didn't become a football player, I very easily could have gone into the military, just because of the wonderful work that they do. Yeah, there's some atrocities, some bad things that happen, but if you don't travel outside the United States much, if you don't get in those situations, you don't realize how well we have it here, how your Bill of Rights, your freedoms and the protections you have, they're unlike any other place in the world. So I know who gives us those freedoms, and I thank them for it. And thank you for anybody out here who is a veteran or is part of the veteran family. And the show I did was called Stars Over Stripes, and I had read Chris Kyle's book, American Sniper, beforehand. This is far before it became a film. It was already purchased by Bradley Cooper, Rivers Company. He was going to make it. Chris told me that. But I had read the book, and I signed up to do this show where we competed in military training exercises with live fire and live weapons and jumping out of helicopters and rappelling. A lot of things. The live fire I was okay with. It was the jumping out of helicopters and rappelling I didn't like at all. And neither did Chris, which was really funny. But you do those things. You do it because you have to, and you get trained. And it was a lot of fun. And to be able to, he was a hero of mine. I mean, he really was. For the things he had gone through and to be in that life and death situation so many times, he had become a hero. And then to meet him in the flesh, you know, you realize he's a flesh and bone person, but so humble, so funny. You know, I don't want to get too political on people, but when somebody like Jesse Ventura says that those things didn't happen and he was a liar and a fraud, if Jesse Ventura was in here right now, I'd knock him on his ass. I'm sorry. And that's an invitation. So that's tough. It's hard. But he was a hero to me, and I mourn his death horribly. And Taya and his family, and I'm still in touch with them quite a bit, and that whole SEAL community. They're amazing warriors. Thank you for the question. Yes, ma'am. What was that guy's name? No, I'm kidding. She said when I started Superman was the pressure to live up to Christopher Reeve and the image he created. Christopher Reeve was my Superman, no question. And he's still to this day, when I think of Superman, I think of Christopher Reeve. Because he really was. He was an amazing guy. And people said that his story was a tragic story and the things that happened to him. I have to kind of argue the opposite and say it was a story of amazing triumph, because what he did, the way he reacted to such a tough situation was incredible. Wow. All right. I didn't see her before. That's helpful. Thank you.
I was next door. Yep, got people in both rooms.
All right.
There's only one of me.
Thank you. Christopher Reeve was my Superman, and fortunately, the way that Deborah Joy Levine, who created Lois and Clark, she designed the script and did things, it was different. It was a completely different incarnation. Clark Kent character was the main character, and he was much more like the George Reeves character from the earlier Superman series. And the Superman character, for me, I had to play it like Christopher Reeve. I have to admit, I completely and liberally sort of stole from him because that was my image of Superman. So that's kind of the way I played it. I played Clark Kent like George Reeves, and then I played Superman like Christopher Reeve, and of course I wasn't so good at doing either one, so it became my own. But that's it. I didn't feel, pardon me? Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. It was an amazing role to be a part of, to sort of start my career with, and I embrace it. You know, people say, well, do they get mad when they call you Superman? Somebody, you're walking along the street, and they're like, hey, it's Superman. I'm like, yeah, that's just terrible. That's awful. It hurts my feelings, you know? I don't like hearing the Scott Peterson thing. I'll hear Superman all day long. So it's a great character, and I embrace being part of the lore, and that's why it's fun to go and play Supergirl's foster father. You know, that's a lot of fun, and it was fun to go on Smallville and fight Tom Welling. I have to tell one Tom Welling story. I've told this before, but so we're shooting the show and we're doing things, and get to the finale where he has to come in and save the day. We all had to move very slowly because he was going to super speed through things and get over to this, I don't know, this electrical panel or something. And so we're rehearsing, and he's cruising through and going, shh. I was like, Tom, we don't make sound effects, man. Come on. It was rehearsal. He was just a lot of fun, and those guys had it down to the science. They did 10 years on that show, and they did a great job. So that was a lot of fun to play that character as well. But I love being part of that whole world. And now, what about DC Comics and television? They're killing it right now. It's great. I mean, it's a lot of fun to watch. Arrow and Flash and now Supergirl. It's a lot of fun. There's another one. What's the new one? Well, there's Gotham. That's which is also, it's a little darker. But there's a new one coming out.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow? That's it. I'm excited. It's fun. There's also an animated thing called DC Girls that I'm now voicing Jonathan Kent on as well. Why do I have to be the dad already? Anybody else have any questions? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. The young man first. What is my favorite video game? All right, you won't tell anybody? Okay. My favorite video game is World of Warcraft. I waste copious amounts of time on World of Warcraft. My son got me into it, and we actually used it as a way to communicate when I go away to shoot a film or something. I'd be gone for like a month in Bulgaria, and he's back in Los Angeles, and I would get up early or go to bed late, whatever it happened to be, so that when he woke up, I could play online with him for about an hour and talk to him. Otherwise, you know, as a parent, you get those phone calls. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Good. What's going on? Anything fun going on? No? All right. Nice talking to you. So it was a lot of fun to interact with him for an hour. Thank you. I see a lot of parents going, yeah, that's the same conversation I had. And it's a lot of fun. So we really, and it's your fault, young man. We have a lot of fun doing that. He's playing Call of Duty these days, and he's getting very good at it. Editing videos and posting them, so it's a lot of fun to see that. But that is definitely my favorite video game. Yes, ma'am.
So you're a history major in college. What attracted you to history? And if you could actually go back and go to college again, would you choose that same major or would you do something different?
That's a good question. I like that question. Don't get that question often. I was a history major in college. She asked me what attracted me to that major, and if I were to go back to college, would I major in the same thing? I'm tempted to make a bunch of snarky answers right now. I was a history major because when I got to college, I didn't really know what I wanted to study. I was trying to figure out exactly what it was, and college is a good time to do that, sort of figure it out. It's a great time to grow up and make stupid collegiate mistakes. By the way, this is pre-Twitter and Instagram, so none of my history is out there. Thank you very much. Whew, yeah. History to me, I almost was an English major. but I didn't want to dissect every word in the language and this and that. It sometimes started to feel sanitary to me. One of my favorite writers is Hemingway. And he says, you know, the man cried, and I get it, you know, and I know because it comes after all this whole description, you know, it makes it simple. F. Scott Fitzgerald went to Princeton, and he would say it would be 3 pages about the man crying, and I could have gotten it in 3 words. And so it was a different style. So English didn't really do it for me. I certainly wasn't a math major, it wasn't going to be that, or engineering. But stories, I loved stories, and history is just a great story. And if you can study history, and you learn why, not so much the dates and this and that and this, that's not what it's about. It's about cause and effect. What happened here? What made everything change here that everyone decided to do this, and what caused this war? So that's what interests me. So I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change it at all. I would still be a history major. And I would, you know, the funny thing is now, if I went to college, I'd pay a lot more attention in class because it's more interesting to me. Then, when you're in college, you know, you're just trying to get through the classes, I suppose, and sometimes you find something really interesting. So I live really close to Pepperdine University, so I'm going to go in there and start auditing some of their classes, I suppose. I have to. Now I want to learn. College is wasted on the young. Sociology. That's complicated. People are complicated. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that very clearly. So I just want to make sure I got the question right. Would I rather have played the character of Smallville? Could I have had a major role in Smallville? Absolutely. That character actually, at one point in time, we were going to bring the character back and do a nice, fun arc. That would have been kind of fun. And the CW stuff in the future going on, sure, perhaps. I mean, it's nice to see Brandon Routh out there doing that stuff with Adam and having a lot of fun with that. I'm glad he sort of embraces it as well. So absolutely, I certainly could. It's just a matter of, well, right now I'm on that CBS show, so I can't do the others. And I also have Hit the Floor on VH1, that's the first show that I have that in first position, and then Supergirl in second position. And they're pretty tough on their contracts, but I could certainly, listen, I love playing superheroes, and I love being a superhero type films and television shows, so absolutely. I was going to go with the lady first, and then you, sir.
Would you ever play a character in the Marvel Universe?
Would I ever play a character in the Marvel Universe? The evil universe. Well, in a word, absolutely. I'm an actor, absolutely. That'd be a lot of fun. Robert Downey Jr. with what he did with Iron Man has changed it all. He is having so much fun and did such a great job. He sort of, I think he's the one who's responsible for bringing it back in a sense and having so much fun with that. And then, you know, I like some of the others. I really enjoyed the Captain America stuff because that involved history. And the first one, I didn't see the second one yet, but I really liked that. And he does a great job. It was really freaky seeing him so skinny in the Captain America thing, and then he turned into the guy. That was cool, and I liked that it was around World War II. It's sort of historical fiction, but it was fun, and I enjoyed that. So yeah, I would work for Marvel. You know, they'll hire me. Yes, sir.
First, I want to say you are my favorite Superman. I'm a 90s kid, so like 90s Superman, he had that bit of, he was a nice guy, but like if you pushed him, he'd probably push you back. He only put up so much of your stuff. I like that about your version.
Thank you.
In the beginning, as far as like from an actor standpoint, what was the process of auditioning, and how many hoops did you have to go through to land Superman? Or was there any resistance? Like, I don't know if we want to cast this.
Oh man, I can tell you the resistance. So when you're casting a character like Superman and you come into that, it's a big deal. And it had been a long time since a superhero had been on television or anything like that. So the casting process, you see the same sort of group of actors running around trying to get all these roles at a certain time, and if you start doing better, you're seen by more casting directors, and sometimes you can skip the casting sessions and go to the producers. And that particular role, so Superman, I got the Lois and Clark script, I read it, it's pretty good. I think I got this character, it's more about the guy. And so I went in and read for the producers. I was the first person the producers saw, just the first actor, the first morning. And I read the script the night before, and I got in there. There's a guy named Robert Butler, he was known as, if he did the pilot, if he directed the pilot, then you knew the show was pretty much going to go to air. He did it for Hill Street Blues and a whole bunch of different shows, and just a really great filmmaker. And I walked in there with him and 2 other people, and I said, I read it last night, and I think maybe I have a different take on it. He goes, okay, let's see it. We did the reading. Okay, thank you. I turned around and walked out. That was it. And usually you hear within a couple days, it went well, they want to talk to you more, they'll see you back. I didn't hear anything for weeks. I was like, well, that's just another one, because you'll go on 3, 4, 5, 7 auditions in a week, if you're lucky, and if you're getting seen. And then I was at a party and somebody said, oh, hey, my friend works in casting over at, it was Lorimar Television at the time, before it became Warner Brothers, and he said, they really like you for that Superman thing. I was like, I thought that was on. And next thing I heard, I was coming back in for it, and they were starting to they were bringing in 5, 6, 7 Supermen, 10 Loises, and we were trying to, mix and match, and I worked with a girl named Paula Marshall. She was great, and she's gone on to do some great stuff. And we were doing these chemistry reads. It was getting easier and easier for me. And then one night, they were supposed to whittle it down to just a couple of us. And then instead, they sent a new scene out. And I was like, wow, we're jumping through hoops left and right and center. We did 5 auditions, I read the new scene, and the new scene was Lois is intoxicated, and she finally decides it's time. So she comes into Clark's house and is ready to just go there. And Clark, being the moral man he is, says she's drunk and it's not appropriate, but he wants to so badly. And that's the scene. So she walks in and immediately just plants a kiss on it. And once I read that scene, I was like, got it. Good. So we came in and read that, and the next thing I knew, I was going to network, and then we network tested. There were myself and one other Superman, a guy named Kevin Sorbo. And I was like, hey, he's blonde. This is over. I got this. Superman can't be blonde. And I listened to his audition. It was totally, he didn't know. You're like, I heard his audition. I'm like, well, we're different, we're playing it differently. Great. He and I are going to network together. But they were concerned that I was so young. I was 26 or 27 at the time, 26, I think. And and even when I started doing the show, people were like, "Oh, you're a Superboy." I'm like, no, I'm a man. So we had the network session, and that went well, and I ended up getting the role, and that was on a Thursday. And I promised my buddy, who's always reading with me, as Lois Lane, I was like, if we get this, we new skis and boots, and we're going skiing, because we were going to his parents' place to go skiing. He was my best friend, and I figured I could afford him if I got the job. And I got it, so we took off to Utah, and I got a call when I'm in Utah that they hadn't cast Lois, and I had to come back for a Monday read-through in front of the network with 10 different Lois Lanes, and we're going to do that kissing scene, where she bursts in the door and kisses me, and then with 10 girls in a row. That's the best audition ever. And then we went through 9 of them, and it was very different. People would come in very nervous. Some girls would give me a little peck on the cheek. Some girls would just go. I said, wow. And I was nervous that they were going to discover that I wasn't a very good actor, doing it 10 times in a row in front of the network and just fire me. So I was terrified. But the last girl who came in was Terry Hatcher. And I'll be honest, she was the best kisser, number 1, and she was the best Lois Lane, and that was it. And that's how we were cast, and that's how it ended up. And it was a fun process, to put it mildly. Sorry, that was a very long answer, but I had to get through it. Thank you for that question. Yes, sir. In the green. How often in real life? How often in real life do I get punk guys coming to challenge me? Because not often. Because if you know a little bit about me, I don't back away from too many challenges. Also, I'm smart enough to know when to turn around and get out of Dodge. So, but no, it doesn't happen very often. And usually I have a great group of friends, guys like Chris Kyle. So if someone ever came up to me and was like that, they'd go, well, you know what? Why don't you get through us first? And then, so they watch your back, and so it doesn't happen often. It probably happened more often when I was younger, but I won't cop to any of that. Did you have a question?
Yeah. If you're a reporter and you have information to say, what are two questions you should ask?
It's a horribly good question. If I were a reporter and I had to interview Dean Cain, what two questions would I ask that have never been asked before? Wow. There's no way for me to win in this answer. Wow, I just can't win in this. I don't know the direct answer to that, but I would probably ask questions that, because you get a lot of Superman questions as an actor, and that's what most people know me from. No, there's been some questions, who's been the greatest impact on your life, and things like that I think are important, or being a history major, maybe when U.S. president was the most influential or the strongest. Pardon me? Easier question. Good, she's going to give me an easier question, I can get out of that. So when I was 3 years old, I moved from Michigan to Los Angeles, and so do I have any memories of my childhood here? Yes, I have one very clear memory. My older brother, he's 2 years older than me, and the girl next door, it's always the girl next door, isn't it? She was older, I believe her name was Kimberly. She, in my mind, she lived about 100 meters away, and we went through the back screen door of our house, Kimberly, then my brother Roger, and then me trying to chase them. And we were running through the snow in Michigan, shocker. And I was so small that I couldn't keep up with them. And I was really bummed because my brother was faster and he was going to run out there with Kimberly. So that was my very frustrating memory in Detroit, trying to catch up to those two running through the snow like 100 meters. Recently I went back to the house that I was brought back to, and it's about 27 feet between houses. I was like, it's right here. How come I could almost jump it right now? And it was a little bit different than I recalled. Actually, they had torn the house down, and the house was sitting on foundation. All right, I snuck under a fence to get into this area where the houses were, and because it was military housing, and I went in there and did find the house on top of the foundation, so I might have grabbed a brick or two, and it might be in my house now, I'm going to say. But that is certainly my earliest memory, to be honest. Yeah. All right, you frightened me, I'm going to go over here. Yes, ma'am.
What advice would you give to someone who just started acting?
That's a great question, young Daredevil. Are you Daredevil? Because I can't see. I see Deadpool. You frighten me too. What advice would I give to a young actor? I'll be honest. That's a great question, and the truth of the matter, the best piece of advice I can give to a young actor is don't worry about the word no, because you're going to be told no 1,000 times. And you can go for an audition and be the best person in the audition, and you're too tall, or you're too short, or you're not the producer's daughter, or whatever it happens to be. There's a million reasons why it happens. And so as an actor, just keep going. If you really truly love doing it, just keep doing it. Keep doing it, keep doing it. And that's the best advice I can give you. You have to have a thick skin, don't take it personally, but keep doing it. One of the things that happened when I first started playing Superman, because I'm a quarter Japanese, and I actually thought it was very funny because my brother, it's an inexact science, but it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to make a living if you can do it. So good luck to you. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You said that they used to call you Superboy when you first got the role. Is that why the first episode has no clothes on?
Whoa. She said they used to call me Superboy when I first got the role, and she asked is that why in the first episode I had no clothes on? I was trying to show I was Superman. I was trying to make that distinction right there. I didn't write those first few episodes. I didn't have much creative control. So no, it was when, I guess because I was so young, being 27 and playing the role, I was the youngest they'd ever seen, and So I guess that's why they call me Superboy. Or my youthful face, my youthful appearance, perhaps. Yes. Was there ever a time that I ever wanted to be away from Superman or not known as Superman? No, honestly. It hasn't stopped me from working. It's a role that, when I first got the role, my buddy turned to me and said, we're sitting on this chairlift that first weekend we went away. And he goes, man, you are forever going to be known or linked with Superman. What does that feel like? And I was like, weird? I don't know. I don't know what it feels like because it's not real. It's like being a parent for the first time. You're going to have a child. How does that feel? I don't know. Until you do it, you don't know what that's like. And so I love it. You know, I mean, you hear some actors, you know, get very angry about that. Don't call me Ross. My name is David Schwimmer. No, man, you're Ross and you're awesome. I embrace it, you know, and I'm not saying David did that. I just use him as an example. No, I'm just kidding. You know, so when you're known as iconic role, listen, we do it. All actors and everybody, oh, you talking about Captain Kirk over there? Yeah. You know, it constantly happens. And maybe the only time it could be a little bit of a negative thing is when I play sports, because it's a lot expected of you if you're playing Superman. You know, I'll come up, put a shot up, somebody block my shot, they're like, get that out of here, Superman! All right. So that does happen. But I've always loved it, I've always embraced it, and it has not stopped me from working. That's where it could be a negative situation, is if it stopped you from working. Yes, you're right up front. I can't miss your hand going up. I'm sorry, we're going to you.
First, I want to say my name is Kimberly, so you made my day.
All right, Kimberly.
If you could play any other...
You're not the Kimberly, are you?
No, I'm
You
a little
get
young for
surprised.
that.
Okay.
So if
Well, she was like 3. Oh, I guess she might have gotten older. Okay.
So if you could play any other superhero or villain, which one would you play
Oh.
besides Superman?
If I could play any other superhero or villain, which one would I play besides Superman? I gotta be honest, after seeing the Captain America movie, I would have loved to have played Captain America. That was awesome. Or even his buddy. I was like, that's a movie I watched and I was like, I wish I was in this film. Outside of that, I don't know. I don't have a particular character that I sort of aspire to play or be like. I don't know. Maybe it'd be a time to be a fun villain. I don't know. Lex Luthor. I'm almost bald right now. I could probably go for that, right? Lex Luthor would be fun. You know, all sorts of villains are a lot of fun because you can really attack that bad part and kind of anything is in the real realm. Villains are fun who have fun, by the way. Those are my favorite villains. They're enjoying themselves. They're great villains. I don't have anybody in mind, but I'm willing to listen for sure. Sir, yes, sir. You have that.
You know, like had the conversation the other day.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to go with the gentleman back there first, and then we'll come back up. Yes, sir.
You play Superman. How do you like how DC sold Superman? How it started getting darker? What do you think about it?
How do I feel about the DC, the direction they're taking Superman, the darker direction? I thought Henry Cavill did a very nice job playing the character. Completely different incarnation than anything we ever did on Lois and Clark. Lois and Clark had a lot of humor and it had a lot of romance. I don't think those things existed in the last Superman film at all. So they were certainly going a different way. It wasn't that they were trying for those things, they were trying for that darker thing. I thought it was pretty interesting. You know, one of the things about the character that I played is he would have done anything, including sacrifice himself, before people would get killed. So it was very strange in this last Superman film to see them throwing each other through buildings where you know thousands of people are losing their lives. And then to have him snap the guy's neck at the end, you just figure Superman would step in front of it or do something different, than that. So that was a little bit different. But they had some really great iconic images. They did a great job telling the story. It's not my favorite incarnation, I suppose, maybe because I come from the Christopher Reeve world. But I'm really anxious to see Batman versus Superman. I mean, or Superman versus Batman, whatever it is. Whenever it comes out, I hope it comes out while I'm still here, because they keep moving that sucker back. I always say that the Batman versus Superman, if it was for that title, it's like a short, because it's like, here's Batman, here's Superman. Over. Right? Call me crazy. I'm sorry.
That kind of answered my question. What I was saying
Would I ever play General Zod? Yes! Absolutely! Play any character. That's what actors like to do. We like to play different roles, different things. I once read an article, or maybe someone told me about an article written where somebody was interviewing Michael Cain. And they're like, oh, you won the Academy Award for this, you were nominated for this, and then you went and made this film and that film. Why would you do that? And he says, because I'm an actor. That's my job. I can sit and wait at home, or I can go make films. We make films. So I really believe that films are, careers are made on hits, and, doing a film like God's Not Dead that I did, very small film, who knew it was going to make hundreds of millions of dollars? You don't expect that. But you never know which films are going to hit, which ones are going to miss. You make a big budget studio film and it can flop. You just don't know. So I like making all kinds of different films, play all kinds of different characters. Yeah, I'd play General Zod in a heartbeat. I'd want to win, but he rarely wins. Yes, ma'am. What is my son's favorite role that I've played? Wow. Well, because he's just getting older, I don't know the answer to it. He would say Superman because the one everyone knows, but he's only watched it like twice. I can't get my kid to watch the show. I put a DVD in, which he doesn't. By the way, DVDs are like going the way of the dodo bird now because it's a DVD. He's like, Dad, just get it on demand. I'm like, it's not on demand, okay? Everything isn't on demand. So I put the DVD in, and the process of me putting the DVD, the act of that somehow turns him off. He's like, oh. So it happened to be on Hub one day, and he caught it, and then he watched like 4 episodes. He goes, hey, Dad, that's pretty good. It's like, I've been trying to tell you this for so long. But I think the one he'd like most is Vendetta, the movie that's coming out June 12th, just because he was there. He got to see Big Show. Big Show didn't kill his daddy, although he could have. And he just liked it, because he got that it was fun and he was on set a lot. So I think he'd like that character. I know it's kind of twisted to say that my son would like my homicidal maniac character, but this is just because it's the most recent. Yes, sir. At a time, the question was, what was it like going opposite Denzel Washington at a time, playing a bad guy, having played good guys like Superman? Well, the funny thing is, Carl Franklin, who directed At a Time, had done Devil in a Blue Dress with Denzel Washington beforehand, and they were signed on to do this picture. Denzel had just won Best Actor. He had just he directed Antoine Fisher, and then he won Best Actor, and then literally the next film he did was Out of Time. So I was shooting a movie in Winnipeg at the time, but before I went to shoot that movie, I had a chance to audition for this film. Carl Franklin didn't care that I had played Superman, didn't know anything. He knew that I played professional football, and he wanted a man who could stand up opposite Denzel and kind of go at it. He's like, this guy played in the NFL, he's not going to be intimidated by Denzel. But I was like, that's Denzel, man. And Denzel was my favorite actor, still is, he's so talented. So when I went into the audition, Carl did something different than a lot of the directors do. He was filming it himself, which he put on the DVD, by the way, my audition that I walked into, which is really weird because it's in a little room, and he had an actor in there playing Denzel's character who knew the lines and knew everything. And I like to come in knowing all the lines and things. And so me and this actor, we went at it, and it was great. It was very comfortable. And Carl said, you know what, this guy can stand opposite him, and they could tick off Denzel enough to make this work. Then I went and started shooting my movie in Winnipeg, and I didn't get the role yet, and then they said, hey, we want you to come down and test with Denzel. So I had to fly myself back from Winnipeg to LA for a day, test with Denzel, and then be able to go shoot the film. That was intimidating. I was a little nervous, but Denzel made me feel very at ease. He talked football, I knew football, we were good. And then we started doing the scene. He does something a lot of actors don't. He's right on you, and he'll talk over you. He'll do things that you do in real life. And I was very comfortable with that. So working with Denzel and playing a bad guy, I shut my mouth most of the time I was on that set and watched him work, watched him get ready to shoot a scene, watched him in between scenes, just to see how he handled himself. And it was a great learning experience, and I was honored to be in that film. It's hard to make a living doing those films. was great for Denzel because he got like 20 million, but I promise you I did not. And I've changed my career over the last 15 years because I'm a single father. And I won't leave my son. I won't leave him to go do a series in another state, another place. I won't do a film that takes over 3 weeks or 4 weeks unless I can take him with me. So I have, over the last 15 years, my career takes a second backseat to me being a father. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that position. And it's lucky. I know I'm lucky to be able to do that, be able to make the choices based on him first, because most families can't do that. So I applaud everybody out there who is a parent, because man, that's hard work. Woo! I've seen a lot of you out here with your kids at this. Man. Much respect. But it's wild out there. It's fun, but it's wild. And it's hot in there, and kids are running around, and then you got that 7'7" guy. I mean, that could frighten a child to death. Yes? Have you ever played a role that I watched back and freaked me out? Yeah, sometimes. That Criminal Minds character was a little whacked out. It's uncomfortable watching myself play Scott Peterson, always. Man. Yeah, so some of those things I do. And if that happens, when I watch a show of my own, I watch it and I think of the character, not myself. And so that's fun to be able to do. I see everybody's trickling out of here. Are we getting to the end of the thing? No, it's you. Where are you going? Where are you guys going? Get back here. Yes, ma'am. What is my favorite period in history? Well, I mean, I would rather be alive no other time than right now. This is an extremely exciting time with our technology and things that we can do. Because I took my comprehensive exams in war and diplomacy, I find World War II, that era, to be fascinating. So that is my favorite area of history. And I haven't really studied World War II to the degree that I really wish would have the opportunity. So that'd be a great area to study. And there's still a couple of veterans alive from that time, and it's just an amazing time. That's fun to study. But as far as being alive, I would rather be alive at no other time than today, without a doubt. Yes, ma'am.
One thing I want to say, I have a lot of respect and talk about your son in such an honorable way, totally admire him. So with that in mind, how is your son different from you, and how is he like you?
My son. How is he different than me, and how is he like me? I'll tell you what, he's so different than me, it's shocking. I was a Mr. Athlete. I wanted to play every team sport under the sun. You couldn't get me inside until it was dark out, and then I probably wouldn't be home yet. I'd get home just after that. Times are different now. The kids aren't running around outside till it's dark, and sometimes coming home. It's different. My son's not playing football. He's not playing basketball. He's not playing any organized sports right now. He's more of an individual sport guy. He likes MMA stuff. He's much more of a homebody than I was. I wanted to be out running around with my friends and doing things, and he's quite happy being home and playing video games and doing other things and editing and running around. So we're very different in that respect. And as a parent, that's weird because I want to be out there on the sidelines of a football game doing things like that, and we were for a long time, but that really wasn't his passion. And I'm not going to push him to go into something. To be good at something like that, you have to have the passion for it. You need to know that this is innately what you want to do. That makes you hungry, that makes you go get it. And if he doesn't want that stuff, then that's his choice, and I completely support him. I don't care what he wants to be, I just want him to be happy and take pride in it and do a good job at whatever it is he does. Yeah. Or I will. I'm kidding. Yes, sir. What was it like wearing the Superman suit for the first time? Well, the first time I put it on, you know what it was? Tights. That's it, with a zipper in the back, feet, and no logo, no nothing. That's very naked. And it was a little uncomfortable at first. Then we got the little, the red underwear, put the boots on, put the cape on. I was like, hey, we're getting there. But it really wasn't complete until the S went on there. Until the S was on, I was very nervous. I'm like, this is what we're gonna do for the costume, really? okay. We had a fun scene in the pilot where we went through about 10 different costumes. So I got to put on, the Flash's costume or a version of that and some other silly things. And that was fun. And it was cute because Superman's mom made his costume. I thought that was great. And that Supergirl has a little bit of that feeling to it. That's what I like about Supergirl. It has that sort of same feeling that Lois and Clark have. I get the funny feeling you'll be able to watch it with your family. And there hasn't been a lot of those things where you sit down. That's probably the nicest thing that anybody can tell me about Lois and Clark is, and I meet a lot of you at these conventions, unfortunately a lot of you say, I grew up watching the show, and I think they look like my age, and I'm like, that's just impossible. You can't grow up, okay. But they say, or they'll say something like, I watched it with my grandma, or my mother, or this or that, so that was always a wonderful thing. Nobody panic. It's gonna be fine. And so that's one of the best things I can ever hear, is that they watch it as a family unit, and maybe it helped them bond with them. I mean, maybe we should get concerned. They help them bond with their mom or their dad, or gets them through a trying part of their life, and that's one of the best things that I can hear. I get the funny feeling I don't know what gives me this feeling, but I kind of think we're about done. Oh, it's the costume contest. So you got to get in it, Spider-Man. It's a costume. You're not doing it? Come on. You're Spider-Man. So I guess I'll take one more quick question, then we'll wrap it up here. And I thank you all for coming. How about way, way, way in the back? Because you're way, way, way in the back.
What did you find from an actor's standpoint, and what was the most challenging role you had?
From an acting standpoint, what was the most challenging role that I've had? Probably the most challenging role I had was At Time, opposite Denzel Washington, because it was with the guy who who just got the Best Actor nominee, and he was carrying a $80 million studio film, and I felt a lot of pressure, and I didn't know what to expect. But I was very, very happy with the role, and still am very happy with it. It was an amazing experience. But those are the things that always become the most rewarding, the things that challenge you the most. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. You guys have been fantastic. Thanks for sticking through. I'll see you out there. Thank you.